Uy, good morning, good noon, good afternoon, good evening, good day mga besh, mga bay. This is Johnny and Bradshaw and grabe kainit karon. And kabalo ka anong init kayo? Oh, wala. Ano tana ka sa ako pod, ano init. Actually, ako'y isa ra ka idea. Pero ato-ato ra ni. Eksa ba? Hot cake ko. Char lang bitaw. Iwaling yaks. Actually, this is due to the climate. The rising temperatures. Oh, so you wanna know more about what the climate is? If so, let's go! Now, what is climate? Climate is the long-term average of weather, typically measured over a period of 30 years. More rigorously, it denotes the mean and variability of meteorological variables over a time spanning from months to millions of years. Some of the meteorological variables that are commonly measured are temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, and precipitation. Now, what does this have to do with the problem? Well, the rising of temperatures is just a part of the meteorological variables being measured when it comes to climate. Now, the rising of temperatures is just a speck of the bigger problem, which is climate change. Now, what is climate change, you ask? Climate change is the significant variation of average weather conditions. Let's say conditions becoming warmer, wetter, or even drier over several decades or more. Climate change can have severe effects on our planet, from shifting weather patterns that threaten food production to rising sea levels that increase the risk of catastrophic flooding. The impacts of climate change are global in scope and unprecedented in scale. Now you'd be asking, what causes climate change? Now, climate change is caused by greenhouse gases, which produces a greenhouse effect, which makes the Earth warmer. Let's name a few of the main greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. And for your information, carbon dioxide is the main cause of human-induced climate change. What do we know about this present problem? From 1880 to 2012, average global temperature increased by 0.85 degrees Celsius. Oceans have warmed, the amounts of snow and ice have diminished, and sea level has risen. From 1901 to 2010, the global average sea level rose by 19 centimeters as oceans expanded. The Arctic sea ice extent has shrunk in every successive decade since 1979. Global emissions of carbon dioxide have increased by almost 50% since 1990. Emissions grew more quickly between 2000 and 2010 than each of the three previous decades. In the Philippines, we are already experiencing the negative effects of climate change, such as the increasing number of devastating typhoons that destroy lives and as well as infrastructure. This problem challenges our current way of living and increases the number of climate refugees and as well as extinct species dramatically. So since this is a problem, let's find ways to fix it. Kakayanin natin to para sa ating dalawa.
Sure lang, single ako. single ko. Single ko.
Now there's this specific movement for this certain problem, and that is the UN's SDG 13, Climate Action. Now, what is SDG 13? SDG 13, or the Sustainable Development Goal 13, is all about climate action. It is part of the 17 SDGs established by the UN in 2015. Now, it has a goal to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. The goal has targets to be achieved by 2030. These are the targets of SDG 13. Target 13.1: strengthen resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related hazards and natural disasters in all countries. Target 13.2: integrate climate change measures into national policies, strategies, and planning. Target 13.3: improve education, awareness raising, and human and institutional capacity on climate change mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction, and early warning. Target 13.8: implement the commitment undertaken by developed country parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to a goal of mobilizing jointly $100 billion annually by 2020 from all sources to address the needs of developing countries in the context of meaningful mitigation actions and transparency on implementation, and fully operationalize the Green Climate Fund through its capitalization as soon as possible. Target 13.b: promote mechanisms for raising capacity for effective climate change related planning and management in least developed countries and small island developing states, including focusing on women, youth, and local and marginalized communities. Oh, you've noticed the change? I just changed my clothes and got a new haircut. Since, bro, it was freaking hot. I was sweating like crazy. Anyway, speaking of change, since the climate is changing, we also need to change. Not physically, but mentally. We need to change and cope our mindsets so that we can contribute to the targets of SDG 13. Oh, you wanna know how? Well then, let's go! Save electricity. This will help in reducing power plant emissions. Plant trees. This will help in reducing one of the main greenhouse gases, which is carbon dioxide. Organize initiatives. This can help in spreading awareness on why we should combat climate change. The more participants, the more we can help in the contribution towards SDG 13. Reduce, reuse, recycle. It prevents pollution and greenhouse gas emission by reducing the need to harvest new raw materials. Save paper. If you need to take down notes, simply use digital notes. This can reduce your impact on forests. With all that said, I hope you have learned something, and I also hope you would continue to contribute towards SDG 13 to take urgent actions to combat climate change and its impacts. And once again, this is Johnny and Bradshaw of JIB Productions, reminding you to create beyond your limits. And see you in the next vlog. Bye bye!